Hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you're connecting from. I'm excited to be on this show today, making a difference every day with Sandra Uko. But before I go into the show today, I just like to. I'm sure you're wondering why am I dressed this way. Yesterday was our independence in my country. We got independence. I think October 1st, 1960. So yesterday was our 63rd Independence Day, and I decided to wear my country's attire, native. And this native is, I think, this is the Yoruba attire. That we have three ethnic, three languages. That's Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa. So I'm dressed like a Yoruba lady today. So I have a guest with me, and before I bring in our guest, I'd just like to introduce what the show is all about. Making a difference to Sandra Uko every day is a show where we bring great men and women who have been through trauma, men who have gone through zero to hero, men who have gone through difficult moments, and how they have gone through their journey. Because your journey, it's unique to you, and you got to enjoy it. You got to go through the process, learn all you need to learn to get up to where God wants you to be. So we bring great men and women who have been through difficult moments and who are on the rise to get into where God has prepared for them, their success level. And we tell people that success is a journey and not a destination. So success to you or me can mean different things. And today we have a great guest with us. His name is Tracy Baker. And let me introduce myself too. My name is Sandra Uko. I'm a Maxwell Leadership Certified team member. I'm also a member of the Toastmaster International, Vice President, Public Relations, and it says as part of over 20 years in the IT industry. I'm also a best-selling author, and just recently I got the Presidential Lifetime Award Achievement 2023, and I'm excited to be here today. And I'm very excited to be on this show, and I also want to welcome our guests and our viewers. Thank you for being on this show. Thank you for joining me. And before I bring in our guest, I just like to read his bio so you get to know him before he comes on board to speak with us. Today's guest is Mr. Tracy Baker. He's a college graduate and a decorated United States Air Force veteran. Mr. Baker loves music, basketball, movies, fishing, and sunshine. Mr. Baker graduated from Medway High School in Dayton, Ohio, with a 2-1 GPA after struggling with bullying, low self-esteem, hopelessness, with the help of his English 12 teacher, Mrs. Mary K. Sutter. He discovered and developed his ability to write and to speak eventually, used those two important skills to earn multiple colleges degree. He made a difference. She made a difference in his life, and that's why today Tracy Baker would be able to mention Mrs. Mary K. Tuttle in his story. She made a difference in his life. He now runs a local public speaking group called Toastmasters, which helps people find and use their voice. And today, Mr. Baker will speak to us about using your talents, your story of personal leadership development to making a difference in your world. And so, yeah, join me in welcoming our guest tonight. So great to have you, sir.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
So it's all over to you. I just read your bio and thank God for the lady, Mrs. Mary. And I said, when you make a difference in a person's life, you become part of the story, the person's story. So as long as the person leaves, he has you in his story. So great to have you on this show today. And
Glad to be here.
we'd like to hear from you how you went through life, difficult moments, lovely moments, great moments. We'd like to share in your moments.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me today. You can be somebody's example or you can be their excuse. And I've chosen to be an example for anybody that comes in contact with me, whether it's the Toastmasters program, whether it's the United States Air Force military, whether it's the Air Force Sergeants Association, Master Sergeant Chris Stanley and Deb Stanley in Dayton, Ohio, Fairborn, Ohio, the Nightingale House, Fisher House. These people are folks that have made a difference, not only in my life, but thousands of people's lives in the Dayton area and beyond, because they make a difference by caring and being empathetic and just having just a heart for people, Sandra. So that's why I'm here today. You asked me to come on and talk about making a difference. You asked me to come on and tell my story. And I'm here today to let you know that everyone has a story. But the only issue is, the only problem is, are you telling your story? Because I know too many people that have been through much more than I have. You never hear from them. And they've overcome. I know people that have had cancer that have overcome, but I don't see them on a big stage or a podcast or a platform like this to be able to say, you too can make a difference for someone. So I'm here today while I'm young. I'm only 25. Don't worry about the math, but I'm very young, and I'm just definitely interested in making sure people know that they have a voice and they can make a difference by using their story, telling their story. That's why I'm glad to be here today.
Okay. Can you tell us how school was for you? How did you find yourself into your elementary school? Because we found that, those days some people didn't go to school, some people drop out of school. So how did you go through school? What was your propelling force? What was your motivating factor? Who was your role model when you were in school? And how did you go through school? How was it? Was it interesting? Was it difficult?
Oh no, it's time to go to school at 6 in the morning. Oh, my heart is beating fast because I know today I'm going to get teased and tormented and abused. Tracy's a girl's name. Tracy's a girl's name. Please stop calling me that. I'm not a girl. I'm a boy. Tracy's about to have his puberty. No, I'm not. Oh my gosh. I can remember running home from school every day, Sandra, because I was so petrified and traumatized, and it was crazy. And people were just so cruel back in those days. It was in the 80s. Okay, I'm not 25, so just know that off the top. And back in those days, school, the classic school bullies, they were all around. And for some reason, they wanted to pick on quiet Tracy Baker, who didn't fight back, who was just there, who had thick glasses. I mean, I wasn't as handsome as I am now. Back then, I had my glasses hanging off and people would just make fun of me all the time. I had a bald head, and they would come and smack me on the back of my head. And that affected me because people didn't make a difference at that time, Sandra. They didn't make a difference because all they had to do was leave me alone. They saw I wasn't a threat. They saw I didn't have money. I didn't have the nice Air Michael Jordan gym shoes. I didn't have the nice Girbaud and Guess jeans and things like that. I was just a regular guy. So school was tough, especially in the early grades. Early grades were really, really funny. I was awkward. I was skinny. I didn't know which way was up. And I just found myself always trying to figure out what's next. What's next? Am I going to get beat up today? Am I going to go up in front of the class and ironically give a speech, a presentation? Giving a presentation in fifth grade as a fifth grader is not fun to do a book report, especially when you have acne all around your face and people are calling you a girl's name. So you don't have a whole lot of self-esteem, Sandra. But what I found is I moved on to high school at Meadowdale High School. I'm representing today Meadowdale High School, Dayton, Ohio. I found that as a freshman and as a sophomore, I had a little inner voice telling me, Tracy Baker, you're okay. Tracy Baker, you can make a difference. Tracy Baker. But I wouldn't listen to it because I listened to everybody else in the background calling me names and talking about the acne that was on my face. And I should have been listening to myself. So I'm going to tell you and your audience right now, the first thing you should do is listen to yourself. I talk to myself because there is no one to talk to. Christopher Williams back in the 90s. People ask me why I do what I do. And we should listen to ourselves because listen to your heart. Roxette, you might not know anything about Roxette, but listen, you have to listen to yourself, listen to your heart, and you have to do it at an early age because there were times, Sandra, when I was getting beat up and talked about and looked at, I should have been like, Tracy Baker, don't listen to that negative chatter. Instead, make a difference for yourself and listen to what it is that you have to do for you to get out of not only high school, but to find something else to do with your life. Now, as a result of me listening to all the negative chatter of other people telling me what I was or could be or could not be, my grades were never really high, but they just started like skyrocket, like just zooming down. I found myself at one point when I started my senior year of high school with a 1.7 grade point average.
Wow.
1.7. Now, in Dayton, Ohio, back then, you could either go work at the General Motors or you can go work at the post office. There weren't a whole lot of different types of jobs around there. So I had to think about what is my next move going to be? Because I'm either going to work at General Motors or I'm going to get a post office job or a civilian job at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which is what a lot of people had. But I didn't think I was qualified because I wasn't smart enough. I didn't have high enough grades. I got to my senior year, and I told you in my introduction about my teacher, Miss Mary Kay Sater. Bless her heart. She was about 85 then, so I'm sure she's passed on to eternity by now. But what she told me, Sandra, was something that made a difference for me, and it made a difference for me every day. And that difference was she said, Tracy Baker, you're one of the best speakers and one of the best writers I've ever seen at this school. Really? Now, remember, I was listening to all the Tracy's a girl's name, but when somebody told me something positive, I'm questioning it in my own mind saying, really? Oh my gosh. And then I thought about it and I went back and looked at some of the writing I did because my writing was good. I'm a better writer than I am a speaker right now today. So if you think I'm a good speaker, read some of the things I've written and the books I'm writing now, some of the things I plan to do in the future. As a result of her putting that little seed, that little acorn into the fertile ground of Tracy Baker, it grew into a mighty, mighty oak tree. And what that oak tree ended up being was my voice. My voice is big. My voice is powerful. And I'm not talking about because it's loud, because I have something to say and share with the world. With that 1.7 grade point average, after she told me that, I blossomed into a better student. I had better grades. I went and interviewed Mike Tyson at Central State University back in 1989. I got this scholarship. I went off to college, and the rest is history, Sandra. So I really want you to know, and I want the viewers to know, and everybody out there listening on the internet, that you can make a difference for yourself. Somebody in your life can put a seed in you that makes a difference. And at the end of the day, you have a choice whether or not you want to grow that seed to something powerful, something big, or if you want to keep sabotaging it and keeping it down and listening to the negative chatter, that's all on you. You have a choice and decision to make. And you're probably asking me, I know I'm foreshadowing your next question because I'm a journalism guy from when I get the scholarship. You're probably going to ask me, Tracy Baker, what are the steps that you can take in your life to be positive for yourself? The number one thing I'm going to tell you is this. Look in the mirror. Look right in the mirror. I don't care if you're fat, tall, black, white, ugly, pretty, handsome. I don't care. You are you. The first thing you have to do with any type of situation is accept who you are. Accept how your hair is. I accept I don't have any hair. I wanted some locks at one time. I'm never going to have locks unless I get one of those new ball cap things you can put on your head, that wig or whatever it is. I'm never going to have locks. But I wanted them at one point. Do I walk around for the rest of my life and say, oh my gosh, I don't have locks? Or do I say, yes, I'm a bald man and I'm still okay? You have to take all the shortcomings and limitations that you have and you have to accentuate them for yourself. And you can't expect other people to do that for you. If they do, that's fine, but you have to accept who you are. Number two, sounds like a Toastmaster speech, huh? Point number two, if there's a grammarian or person, don't write me up. I'm doing what I do. I stutter, by the way, which is one of the other infirmities I had. I still stutter to this day. So when I speak, you'll hear some ums and ahs. I can't control it. You'll hear some, and as soon as I get my bearing back, I let that voice shine again. But everyone has limitations. So point number two is you have to find a way, Miss Sandra, to plan what it is you want. What is it that you want to do or be or have? When I was a young airman in the Air Force, I would win a thing called a board. A board is something that you meet. You have all these different senior enlisted officers and enlisted advisors and people sitting on a board, and they would ask you questions. And so one time I had a board where I had 5 chief master sergeants sitting across the table from a little senior airman, Tracy Baker. And at first I was a little bit intimidated by all those stripes. But then when he started asking questions, I just started remembering all the plans, all the goals I had set for myself. And I started having a conversation with these senior enlisted folks. Next thing you know, I won the board, Airman of the Year, something like that. And it was because I had planned and I had something to talk about. And the third thing I'll share with you is this. If you're not having fun, Sandra and viewers, then why bother? How many times you go to your job every day and it's like, oh, I don't want to go to this job. It's, oh my gosh. Oh my God. I know my dad, Chris Stanley, he's my adopted dad, and he used to work at the at a Wright Pat Air Force Base after he retired from the military. He would go work at the Nightingale Fisher House, and he would have fun, and he would raise money, and he would have galas, and you could see, I would have lunch with him at Big Boy on Colonel Glean Highway, Dayton, Ohio. So if anybody wants to go to where the stars are, that's where we are, me and Chris Stanley. I would go there, and I would have fun listening to him talk stories about things that he's done at this particular job. He was having fun. If you're not having fun with this podcast, Sandra, it's time to do something else. If you're not having fun with that wonderful dress you're having on for your independence of your country, give it up for your country having its independence on October 1st. That's wonderful. If you're not having fun from that important letter you got in the background, you can have a story about that wonderful picture you have in the background. Everything that you have that's around you should be fun for you. And when you take all 3 of those elements and put them together, you can't help but to be happy. You can't help but to be productive. And at the end of the day, people are going to watch you. I watch you. People that I send to your podcast watch you. And they see that you make a difference daily. You make a difference every day because you're letting people use your platform to tell their story. You got questions for me?
Yes, I do. That was very mind-blowing, very exciting. And that's why I often would tell people, the people you circle yourself with, the people you hang around, really does matter because rightly you said Mary. I told you, like Elliot said, I said you would always remember Mary because Mary sowed the seed. And thank God you took the seed, you actually watered it, and you ensure the tree, that seed, grew to a mighty oak tree. Because you could as well believe the lies of the devil, the lies of your friends, those naysayers over what she said. She was just one person against so many people. So you chose right because I tell people we are all sum total of our choices. I'm whatever I am now is the choices I've made in time past. And whatever you are now, everyone watching us, is a sum total of the choices we make. And if you are on a path that is not great for you, then go back and check your choices. Maybe there are some things you're doing right now that are not right. Then you have to change your choices. And that's why I tell people, I said, if you don't plan what you want to live for, you would endure life the way you see it. Life will give to you just anything because you don't plan. So when you plan, when you fail to plan, then you are planning to fail. So that was a great one. Very exciting. And I want to find out when you got into college, getting to hear from her and the story and the seeds she sowed in your heart. You start seeing things were improving. How did you use it to be a blessing to others? Because I have heard people who have been through negative moments and they said, hurting people hurt people. So did you go with that notion or you wanted to be a blessing to others?
I graduated in June of 1989, Medida High School. And in October of 1989, I went off to college in Franklin, Indiana, 20 miles south of Indianapolis. And when I got there, I was, oh my gosh, I'm so scared. I'm so afraid. I'm away from home. Nobody likes me. And I was self-sabotaging from the beginning. And I was saying to myself, I want to go back home. It was the only scholarship I had. I had several other little smaller scholarships, but I had a major scholarship for my writing, for my speaking abilities. And I arrived at Franklin College, and from the beginning, it seemed like I was alone. Didn't have a whole lot of friends, didn't have a lot of people around. Until that is, I met Stacy at the time, Broad Street. And Stacy and her family took me in. As a matter of fact, one night I was very hungry, starving. Poor college kid, didn't have a lot of money back home, didn't have a lot of money on the campus. So I was starving, and I didn't on my meal plan. I couldn't eat again until the next morning at 8 o'clock. So it was right 8 and 9 o'clock at night, and I was playing pool, and just stomach was growling like the Lion King, rawr, and I was just really, really hungry. And I remember sitting there, do I ask somebody for food? Do I beg for food? I didn't know what to do. I'd never been in that situation before because I had food in my room, noodles and things like that, but at that time I didn't. So I was playing pool and I was praying to God. I was like, God, please send me some food. Oh my gosh. About 20 minutes later, my friend Stacy walks in and she says, get your stuff. You're coming to eat with me and my family. Out of the blue, she made a difference. Oh my gosh, we're going to eat. We went to a place called Ponderosa. And I'll tell you right now, Sandra, if you never had Ponderosa's little wings with the coat and the juicy spices, I must have eaten at least 30 of those wings and a whole salad bar and a whole gallon of iced tea and lemonade. And I just sat there thinking to myself, even then, 32, 34 years ago, that someone made a difference in my life without even trying to make a difference. They were just being nice to me. And that's the lesson for you and your viewers. Just be nice to people. You don't have to try to prove, and you don't have to go on Facebook and YouTube and everything and say, hey, this is what I did for somebody. Nobody ever has to know but that one person. Now, of course, I tell everybody about this story about Stacy because it's something that's impacted my life, but she didn't do it for the accolades and for the publicity. She did it because that's the person she is. Why can't we be that person to help other people, to give money when we can, to help people build something if they're building something, to help people even when they're speaking in Toastmasters, to be a good mentor, to let them know that you're here to listen to what they're saying. And you don't have to be me. You know, I speak a certain way in general, whether it's Toastmasters or not. I speak the way I speak. I speak fast because I have a lisp. If I don't speak fast, you're gonna hear a whole bunch of slickery sounds. And if not, you're going to hear stuttering sounds. So I push through with energy and power. Even if I'm sick, I'm still not 100% well right now. I just came off a little bit of illness, but I'm still going to push through it no matter what. Now, the last thing I'll tell you about college was when I went to college as a young freshman, we were having a Martin Luther King Jr. celebration. And they had a guest speaker coming in from the big city, Indianapolis, Indiana. And for some reason, he didn't show up. So the president of the college said to me, a freshman, all these seniors and all these other people standing around, he says to me, because I'm on the journalism team, I'm on the newspaper, I'm the sports editor, he says to me, Tracy Baker, do you think you can give a 20-minute speech on Martin Luther King Jr.? And for about 10 seconds, I was back in high school again, wondering, oh my gosh, what do I do? But then I thought about it. And then I transformed like Optimus Prime, and I became the speaker that day. And I walked up to the microphone, and I gave an eloquent rendition of whatever I said. I don't even remember, but I know it has something to do with I have a dream, and I know I had some voices, and I know I put my hands in the air and pumped my fists. But it made a difference. Because after that, they had my picture on the paper, the front page, and they had an article about me, about this young 18-year-old freshman speaking about the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And then a lot of older upperclassmen and people from Indianapolis and all other places came and talked to me and want to know how I was able to speak for 20 minutes off the top of my head. Because I had to. What choice did I have to do? I did it. And you can do it too. And this was long before Toastmasters, by the way. So my point is, even with or without an education program like Toastmasters, even with or without a podcast like yours, you still can use your voice. You just have to make that choice to use it. So I went to college. I was there for 2 years. And by the time I got to my second year, I made a best friend named Ken Haddle. He was a musical genius. He would play music. We would drive from Franklin, Indiana, all the way to Cincinnati, which is about an hour, 40-minute drive. Get some food literally for 30, 40 minutes to get back in the car, drive back 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, get up the next morning, go to class. That's what you do when you're 18, 19 years old. On top of that, we started visiting the club, loud music, having fun, everybody dancing, good times and everything. And I found myself again concentrating, gravitating towards those fun things instead of concentrating on my books. As a result, Sandra, I got put on academic probation for my $40,000 scholarship. I was given a chance to leave the college at the time because if I didn't get my grades back up to a certain level by a certain time, they would take the scholarship from me and I would have to pay it back. But if I left quietly, as to not tarnish their reputation, they would allow me to walk away. And of course, I'm defeated and dejected, and I decide to walk away, and I come back here to Ohio. For about 6 months, I'm living on my mother's couch. And I'm sitting there wondering, what mistake did I make and why did I lose this opportunity? And it was because I didn't believe in myself, which was the first thing I told you earlier. Yeah. Number two, I didn't have a plan. I was just going all over the place doing whatever, and I didn't plan it out. And number three, I definitely wasn't having fun. So one day I had an epiphany. I don't know if it was that God voice in my ear or if it was just something pulling me. Get up and go downtown and find something to do. And I went downtown and I was walking around some buildings in 3rd and Main in Dayton, Ohio, and I saw military recruiting station. And I walked over and there was an Army guy. And the Army guy had the high and tight, and he had the cigarette in his mouth, and he was puffing away. And as I walked towards him, he says, I'm about to go to lunch. And I was like, oh, okay. And then an Air Force guy was standing right next to him, Staff Sergeant Thomas Shepard. He said to me, son, come here, let me talk to you about life. And he pulled me in his office, and we talked a little bit about life, just about goals, and talked about his journey. And he made a difference for me that day. Bottom line, I joined the Air Force. 20 years later, I retired. And here I am today with you to tell you that a lot of people made a difference. And I know I'm making a difference for a lot of people as well. So it's like a cycle. It's reciprocal. And I would challenge every one of you listeners, your viewers today, to do the same thing. Look at where you've come from. Look at where you are today and figure out how you're going to use that voice and your story to help somebody else get to where they are. How are you going to make a difference every day? I'm using proper grammar, so don't write that down. How you made somebody's day. And the only way to do that is to get involved and show them that you care.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. You rightly said it. Being there for others. We've been through, our own turbulent moments. And, somebody somewhere has been a positive plus to you. Somebody somewhere has, held your hands. Somebody somewhere has been a mentor and a guide. And so, like Tracy rightly said, looking back from where you were and where you are presently, what has worked out for you, who has been a blessing. Then look at people around you, your circle, people outside your circle Who can you be a blessing to? And that's why I said everything rises and falls with leadership. And so, and you often will hear that leadership is influence. But beyond being influenced, leadership is sacrifice. Leadership is giving. Leadership is servanthood. So, meaning that whatever you've gotten, there's really nothing you've gotten that was not given to you. Somebody somewhere helped you some way. And if you had Tracy's story, he had different people. The military guy, he has Mary, he has Stacy. Somebody somewhere was a blessing. Somebody somewhere made a difference in his life. So you want to find out who has made a difference in your life and how can you also make a difference in somebody's life. Just the same way somebody touched you. Can you touch someone the same? And it is said that if every one of us as leaders can go out there to touch somebody, we will have a better world to be in. The world will be a better place. People will have great story to tell. That's just as Tracy is talking about Stacy and talking about Mary that is no longer living. We can also have a story to tell. So I want to encourage you out there. If you're out there, you're making a difference, please keep the good work going. Keep rising. But if you've not started, I tell you, it's not too late. It's not too late. You can start wherever you are now with whatever program you have, whatever thing you can put together for your community, for those around you, those in church, those at your workplace, those outside your community, where you live. You can see somebody to speak with, somebody at the grocery store, somebody who needs help, somebody you can talk. Just reach out to someone. Be a blessing out there. So I want to find out from you, when you got into military, how did you find it? Was it what you wanted? Was it something in line with what you wanted? And how did it make an impact on you? Because I know you're a businessman now. I knew. So can you tell us the story, how you weathered the storm? Because I know military is also not easy. So how did you go through it? And for you to have stayed 20 years, it must be interesting. Because I know of friends who started after 5 years, 6 years, they're off the military. So for you to have been there for 20 years is something that worked out for you. So what is it? So we can learn from you.
When your spirit is broken, Sandra, it's hard to get it back. And my young 20-year-old spirit was broken when I left college. I felt that I lost my opportunity because I felt I didn't have good grades. I felt that I didn't have the money. And God had given me this chance to go to school, and I somehow squandered it. So I felt lower than low, Sandra, and I had to figure out how to get myself back up. Thus, the Air Force. The first night I arrived at basic training, we had a tornado down at Lackland Air Force Base in Texas. And I remember so vividly at 2 or 3 in the morning, the sirens are going off and people are telling us to get down and assume a position. And my heart is beating fast. And I'm wondering, why am I here? Oh my gosh, I was so scared. Oh my gosh. So then we ended up passing the storm, like you just mentioned, weathering the storm. We passed the storm. And then we ended up the next morning, like 4 o'clock, no sleep, get up. My eyes are like on cartoons. You know how their eyes are real big and they're bloody and bloodshot? My eyes are real big and bloody and bloodshot. And I have no energy. I have no will. And guess what? The drill sergeants don't care, or the training instructors don't care. And they're yelling at the top of their lungs. And my heart is just beating fast. And I'm thinking to myself, I just want to leave. And all you have to do is say, hey, I want to leave. And you can walk away. So as everyone was running around mad housing and trying to figure out where to go, and I was being called a duffel bag too. You're nothing but a duffel bag. I'm a duffel bag. I just want to leave. And I remember going into a corner like, I just want to get out of here. And the training instructor came over. I don't know his name. Can't remember his name to this day. He came over, a real tall guy. He came over and said, get your back over there right now. And I just want to leave. And then he pulled me aside. And he said, hey, what's wrong with you? You know this is only like for the first few days. Then we're going to be all right. You need to get it together. You're not going nowhere. We need you. He made a difference for me. I don't know if he broke protocol or if he can get in trouble for something like that, but he cared about this 20-year-old man that was obviously not as confident as I am now. And he said, you're going to be okay. You're going to weather the storm. As a matter of fact, he said, can you stand the rain? I think it was Johnny Gill now that I think about it. But anyway, he said that you're going to weather the storm. And I did exactly that. The next couple of days I got through. I ended up being an academic monitor of all things. To go from failing a scholarship to being an academic monitor, I'm making sure everybody in our class is doing well with the academics. We go ahead and we graduate. We go to tech school at Wichita Falls Air Force Base in Texas, in Shepherd Air Force Base in Texas. I go there, and I go there for 6 months of technical training for electronic principles. You hear the stuttering? I stutter. So make sure, don't think I'm the best speaker in the world. I stutter every day, every conversation. You hear it sometimes, you don't. This is what I am. I ended up going there. It was wonderful. My first duty station was back here at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, where I met some incredible people, including Master Sergeant Chris Stanley, one of the best guys I know. He's made a difference in my life. And the Air Force Sergeants Association just standing behind me, getting all types of awards, going to conventions, sweet corn festivals, and things like that for different types of festivals. And he made a difference. And I started meeting people like him and Chuck Berg at the 88th Communications Squadron at Wright-Pat. And I just started meeting more people at the Education Center at Wright-Pat. The next thing you know, I'm taking classes for a master's degree. A master's degree, Sandra. I finished my education. I got my bachelor's degree completed. Now I'm working on a master's degree with a 2-point-something grade point average. Tell me it can't be done. It can be done if you have those people in your life that are showing you, if you have that internal fortitude to say, I can do this, and if you're having fun. So what I used to do, Sandra, when I lived in the dormitories at Wright-Pat, I would play basketball. I was really good at basketball. Really good. Really good. Really good. I could have been probably on Air Michael Jordan's level. I'm telling you, don't try to do the math, but just believe me. And I would go have fun. I would have fun at the parties. I would have fun. And I would go study for my master's degree at Central Michigan University at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And I was knocking classes back left and right. So the point here again is this. The military was just a vehicle. You can pick whatever kind of vehicle you want to drive. A Tesla, a Mercedes-Benz, or a Kia. Well, don't get a Kia because they might try to take it. You can pick whatever kind of vehicle you want to take to get to whatever destination or journey you want to be on. And for me, I just happened to find the Air Force, the United States Air Force. It took me to Turkey. It took me to all types of deployments to Afghanistan, Iraq, Djibouti. It took me to all kinds of places over the course of my life. And that's just something you can find for your own life. What is it that you're going to get? What type of vehicle are you going to drive to get to where you have to go? It's going to be different for everybody. Sure. And whatever you have to do to get to where you need to be, do it. And don't be ashamed and don't compare yourself. And never shortchange yourself. I try to tell my 16-year-old daughter that right now. She won't listen. This person has this and this person does that. It's that internet. It's that Instagram and all that kind of stuff where people are always trying to compare and one up. Hey, we're in Cancun, Mexico. Are you really in Cancun or is that just a backdrop? I don't know where you really are, but she wants to have everything everybody else has. You can't have what everybody else has. It's for you. What God has for you is for you. I know without a doubt that he will bring me out. What God has for me is for me. So what you have that God is going to give you is what you have. You take that and you use it and you appreciate it like I should have done with the scholarship I had. I should have completed 4 years, but I wouldn't have had the enrichment experience that I had from going to the military. Had I graduated from college at 4 years, I probably would have went up to Indianapolis. I probably would have worked for the Pacers or the Indianapolis Colts or done some professional broadcasting. And who knows, I may have never gone to the military, but I'm so grateful that I did because that was how I was able to make a difference in the lives of a lot of folks, especially when I went to Alaska for 4 years.
Awesome. Great. So great. Oh, great. I was just laughing all through, but really you said some great nuggets you spoke about. And it's so important the kind of support system we have around. Who are the people you identify with? Who are you? You must know yourself. For someone, you don't want people to describe you. You want to speak about yourself. Who are you? And that's why we have a lot of identity crisis. Most of the addictions, most of the things we see all around are people who do not know themselves. We need to know ourselves. Who are you? Knowing yourself is number one. And who are your friends? Who do you hang around? Like Tracy said, he got to school. Yes, whatever you find doing, you must find passion in them. Enjoy what you do. Do not do things because I know we have to pay bills. I know we have a lot going on for us, but whilst doing those things, make sure you create some kind of fun around what you do. Enjoy it. This life is going to be just one. You don't have a duplicate and you can't come back again to leave it. So enjoy, have fun, like Tracy said, but having the right circle of friends. Tracy got into school. Yes, scholarship, which is the dream of every young boy getting into college, to have scholarship. But he misused it because he met a wrong friend. I'm sure if Tracy had met someone who was a bookworm, who was also having fun, Tracy wouldn't have lost it. But he lost it because he met someone who wanted to enjoy life to the fullest without making plans. Because I'm not saying that you can't enjoy life. You can. But there must be a plan. You must know who you are. You must know what brought you into that school. And have a plan on how you want to go through life, how you want to go through college. He forgot what brought him there, where he was coming from. Because if you know where you were coming from, maybe from a low background, when you get to school, you probably would not have thrown caution to the wind. But he forgot all those parts. I'm so excited that you got people to speak into your life. I'm excited that you didn't give in. You didn't throw in a tower, but at every stage, God was sending people to you. And every stage you had a voice to be ready to push through. Because if you had not joined the military, maybe you'll probably still be going about looking for something to eat. But joining the military was just a vehicle, like you rightly said. Find out what vehicle will take you to where God wants you to be. It can be the military, it can be government work, it can just be nothing, it could be whatever. Just find out what vehicle God has ordained and prepared for you to get you to the other side. But before we take the questions, I'd like to just look through to see if we have any comments, any questions, so I don't leave out any. But before then, let me just shoot this.
Are you thinking of how to publish your book on Amazon or how to get your published book to become an Amazon bestseller book? Dip Insight Books is the perfect in-between solution in transforming your ideas into a book. We can help you with all the complicated parts of publishing, such as process TO transformation. What we do: full manuscript evaluation, receive quality assurance edit, full copy edit and final proofread to remove spelling and grammar mistakes, oversee your cover design, create your interior layout, publish and distribute your book, lock down your marketing strategy. Ghostwriting, where there is no manuscript. Our goal is to help you publish your book promptly. Contact us today at 404-740-9091. Email us at info@dipinsightworld.com. To start the submission process, check us out at www.books.dipinsightworld.com and submit your details. You can visit our Facebook page at Dip Insight World.
So welcome. Great time. I have some comment from you. For you, I had Donut Nkana. Question for Tracy. He said, Tracy, tell us about the importance of mentoring, especially for youngsters. Can you throw more lights to mentoring the youngsters?
I was with a group earlier today, and I was the table topic impromptu question to ask her for this group of 18-year-olds. One of the questions I asked them was about the Karate Kid. There's a scene where Mr. Miyagi is putting wax on, wax off, and Daniel-san, his young protege, is following the steps. But at one point, he gets frustrated and says, "Oh, I don't want to do this." And Mr. Miyagi tells him to trust the process. And when he trusted the process, he showed him some slick moves and how to defend himself when he's fighting in the tournament. Of course, he got his foot swept, but that's neither here nor there. Then he had to do the crane on one foot, but that's neither here nor there. The point to the story is that Daniel-san had a mentor, Mr. Miyagi, that showed him where Daniel-san wanted to go. Mentoring is very important, young man that asked me the question, because without mentoring, without a protege program, it's really hard for people to just come into any type of situation and learn something without somebody showing them how to do things before. That happened for me in the military. Again, I told you about Chris Stanley, Master Sergeant. He showed me a lot of things through my different associations. I had senior Master Sergeants. I had military folks that showed me things. And then when I became a mentor, I showed other people how to do things. One person I'm mentoring right now is Anastasia Smith, who's a area director in the Bahamas. And I met her down in the Bahamas a few weeks ago at a convention. And she has given presentation after presentation. And I've just seen how she's risen in just a few short weeks to go from sort of, "Oh, I'm kind of scared," to like, "King Kong, they got nothing on me," because somebody saw some talent and just said, "Hey, do it like this instead of like that. Or go present here instead of there and try this instead of that." And I have people that have been in my purview that I've helped mentor like that. And I've also been mentored, whether it's the way I do business, the way I conduct different things. You're never too old to learn something new. Now, even at 25 years old, I still have time to learn more things. So when I come across a Smith or I come across Stanley or whoever, these folks are people that have helped me build because of watching them and me turning back and helping them find out how to do things. So tell that person that they should be a mentor and they should be mentored, and a cycle should continue. It should be a continual cycle. Let me tell you something right now. All the great people that you see in life, they're not doing it by themselves. I promise you, when Michael Jackson made Thriller, he didn't just walk in the studio and make Thriller. Quincy Jones, the sound engineers, the guitarists. Michael Jackson wasn't playing a guitar, but Thriller is the #1 all time. I think it's still the #1 all time album of all time because he was being mentored and he was being shown and told. And I can go down the line. Michael Air Jordan, he's Michael Air Jordan, but without Phil Jackson and without Doug Collins, I don't know. He might still be Michael Jordan. And I know it's probably more coaching is probably what you're thinking, but that's still mentoring too, mentoring a protege. You got to find a way to show people. So when you show people how to do things and you're mentoring, is very important. I continue to mentor this day, but everywhere I go, everybody wants me to be their mentor. Hey, can you be my mentor? We have other people that can mentor as well. So let's make this a community and let's make sure we have enough mentors to go around for people that need them. So I have another new mentor, a young man named Aaron. He's at a club in Georgia, at a Toastmasters club in Georgia. I just heard him speak today. He was in charge of the meeting, and he did a great job. And we had a couple of conversations, and I'm going to talk to him and kind of see where he's going. And I'm going to offer myself to make sure he knows that he has a resource to talk to figure out how to get to the next level of where he wants to go. Life is about levels. You start off as a rookie, and then if you want to get to the next level, you got to do certain work. And then you want to be a veteran one day, you got to do this much work. But not everybody's going to make it to the veteran level. They might stay in the mid-level or they may quit as a rookie. But you have to make that decision about what you want to do. But in each of those levels, you have somebody that can mentor you and show you how to get to the next level. What are the questions you have in the comments?
Yeah, I think Deborah Taylor says Tracy's always encouraging and empowering.
Hey, Deborah.
So Deborah says, so true, never too old to learn or grow. Wise thought. Then Tracy says, Donut says, can I just say a big thank you to Tracy Baker for everything he does. He changed my life forever. Paul Donut from the UK.
Paul Donald from the UK is another example about how you can come into somebody's life, be mentored, even for a short period of time, and then go blossom. When I found Paul Donald was already Paul Donald. He just needed a little bit of polish, a little bit of little coating of lacquer or shine just to make him appear the way he needs to appear. All I did was tell him what he already knew. So I appreciate those words, Paul Donald, but it's all on you, brother. You're the one that makes that happen. Just like Renee Blake in my current club. She's already a diamond and she's not a member of Toastmasters, but she speaks very well. And she's been around the world. She's been around different parts of Dayton, Ohio. All she has to do is get up and speak. I'm not going to speak for her. She has to do it. But if I say go speak, that's mentoring, but I didn't do any work. I just said go speak. So I appreciate Deborah Taylor saying that I'm inspirational and I'm pushing people. That's fine. But I promise you, at the end of the day, I can't make you get out of your bed, go take a shower, put clothes on, go find a place to speak and tell your story. You got to do that on your own. And when you do that, I promise you, there's some kid. I'll tell you one more story about how you got to get up out your bed. In Colorado Springs, I used to play basketball with a group of people. James Crawford, Mr. Bernie, we had Kevin Smith, Greg Burney. All these folks would play basketball at 6 o'clock in the morning. So because I lived in Alaska, I had to drive from my house at like 4:30 to get to the base. It is cold, like -50. You had to be committed to get out and go play basketball. But I love basketball so much, and we had such a good camaraderie, and it was fun. So I would get there, and we would play basketball for 2 or 3 hours before 6, 7 o'clock, and then we would go to work. One particular day, I went to the locker room, and there was a guy. He was crying in the locker room, and I'm like, man, did I put it on him that bad? I know I got skills, and my fadeaway jumper is fire. So I say, man, what's going on with you? My girl back home. So apparently, his girlfriend back home was having, let's just say, a liaison of some sort with his best friend back home. Now, he joined the military. He's way up in rural Alaska, and his girl back home is having fun. That's all I'll say. So he was just really distraught. And I said, okay, man, let's go get some breakfast and let's go talk. So we went and had breakfast. He took him back to his office and said, hey, I had him. That's no problem. About A year later, because I deployed and went some places, and he deployed and went some things, came back. He got married. He had a child, a baby. And he was having his going away ceremony, which is traditional military. Everybody gets presents and everything. So he gets up there and he starts talking about how this base has done wonders for me. And oh my gosh, he's in tears. And he says, but one man has really made a difference in my life. It's Tracy Baker. And he went on to tell the story about how depressed he was and how distraught he was. And he didn't know what he was going to do, if he was going to harm himself, if he was going to go back there and do something to them. But he listened to me. Just like Beyonce, listen to the words that's in my... Okay, maybe I shouldn't sing Beyonce. And if anybody is on here from the Beehive, I'm not making fun of Beyonce. I'm just saying, listen. He listened to me, Sandra. And when he listened to me, he said, man, there's not only many more opportunities in life, there's more women in life. This is not the end of the world. So apparently he listened to that. He got married. I haven't talked to him in about probably 10 years now. I'm going to have to look him up and see what's going on. But the point is, Sandra, is that I made a difference without even thinking about it or trying to make a difference in that young man's life. How many times can we be that listening ear? I appreciate how you're listening. Everything I'm saying, I don't know if you have some kind of secret teleprompter that records my voice as I'm talking, but you like have hit every single point I've been talking about. And I'm like, this woman would be an excellent evaluator for a speech somewhere. Goodness gracious. So you're listening. And when you're listening, that means that you care. When you care, you're listening to what people say, and you can digest and take whatever they're saying and take it back to give it back to them. That's a wonderful thing. So I appreciate what you're doing today. And I just appreciate you having this podcast to let people know that they can make a difference, especially when it comes to their personal lives, when it comes to professional development, when it comes to mentoring, when it comes to having fun. If you're not having fun, like I said, something is wrong. So go out and have some fun today.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Like you rightly said, it's awesome. We need relationship. We need people. And one thing that has, stood out for me is relationship. Having people, circle of people in your influence. And what came to mind today to me was, what is relationship? I just read a book some weeks back, months back. It says, everything you're called to be, the key to unlocking all that you're called to be lies in relationship. And it is said that relationships are the ships you ride on to destiny, meaning that you need someone in your life. You need the company of friends. Like you rightly said, having people to mentor you, having the right people. And, sometimes you can have mentors out there that are far from you, maybe through the books you read. But there are also people you can reach out to who are physical, mental, people who can tell you the truth, people can look you straight in their eyes and tell you what you're doing right now is not working. You need to change or add something. You need to put more your effort. You need people around you. And so the people you hang around really does matter. If you are around people who are naysayers, they're talking you down, your spirit's always down around such people, you need to run away from such group. You need to find the right group where you can grow well. And because we have two type of mindset, we have the fixed mindset and we have the growth mindset. If you're in the community of where everyone is having a fixed mindset, fixed or not working out, it's so difficult. No, you can't do it. You will not grow. So having the right group of people, having a growth mindset, staying around people who would influence you, who would challenge you, rather than going to meet people who are like you. It's just a matter of time you'll start going down. Be with people who would challenge you, people who would, cheer you up to greater things. Like Tracy rightly said, you are just a testimony. I'll tell you, you spoke right. Your words are inspiring. Your words are, I said the other time, I said, you amuse me. When I see you, I am full of laughter. But beyond that, I have a lot I've gained, and I'm sure my audience too, everyone on the stage, has something. And Nkana is asking me to ask you, what do you want to be remembered for? What do you want people to say when you're no longer on this side of eternity?
Well, first of all, Sandra, let me just let you know, I have until 7. My time is, I have more time if you need me, so I'm still here for you for the next 15 minutes or so. We all live a life. We're born, we live, we die. It's called the dash. On your epitaph, you went from 1998, when I was born, until whenever, okay? And in that dash, it's like a race. You have to figure out how fast you're going to go, how slow you're going to go, what you're going to do within that dash. Are you going to be memorable, or are you going to be revealed? Are you going to be happy, or are you going to be sad? In that time, you have your choice about what you want to do during that time. What type of legacy do I want to leave? legacy I leave is whatever people take from me. I'm not going to set out to be a certain type of thing for anybody. I'm going to be me. Now, if Tasha Brunings says, oh my gosh, Tracy Baker inspired me and he made me go give speeches and he is incredible, I'm not going to make her do that or tell her to do that. That's what she does to do for herself. And what we have to remember when we leave legacies is that, have we done the best thing that we can do with what God has given us? God didn't make me 6'5", 6'6" to play basketball professionally. He made me 6'1", 6'1.5", 250, 260 pounds. And this is what I got and who I am. So I'm never going to be 7 foot Kevin Garnett or Shaq, or I look like Shaq. But what I'm going to do is what I'm going to tell everybody is that you have to find a way to live the best life you can. And the legacy you live will be the conglomerate factor of everything that you've done. How did you treat people? Where did you go? What did you do to make a difference? I bet that young man that I talked to playing basketball will remember me for the rest of his life. He may not remember my name. He may not remember my picture, but he will remember that I took time to go to breakfast with him on a date, probably the worst day of his life, because he found out his girl was having whatever was going on back then. Whatever. Come on, man. Get it together. So the legacy I want to leave is one that you decide to look at me. I know that my good friend Chris Stanley, he's left a legacy on me without even trying. Just being there, just having me over for dinner, just talking like a father figure and doing things like that he doesn't have to do. He's got a bunch of other kids and people. When they go off to the cabin, they have 40 people up in the cabin down in Pigeon Forge or wherever they go. I'm the last person he should be thinking about, but he'll always call me. Him and his wife will always check on me. Him and his wife will always figure out what's going on in my life, whether anybody else is around or not. That's the type of legacy I'm going to remember for them forever. And they didn't even try to do that. So the same thing with me. If you like me or don't like me, if you think I'm good, not good, if you think I can speak good, if you think I can dance good, if you think I can sing good, it doesn't matter, because the legacy I'm going to leave for you all is just me being me. And that should be good enough.
Being your true self.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much. I want to thank your viewers. I want to thank Incarna. I want to thank Deborah. I want to thank Gabriella Fashiner. I want to thank all our viewers and those, just in case I don't mention your name, please, I'm sorry. I want to thank everyone that's been on this show. Thank you. You make us come all the time, to bring new guests. I am excited. Thank you for your support. And it is said that leaders are those who knows it and shares it with others. And if this has been a blessing to you, it's also good you share with others. It is good we go out, tell people, share the story with others. Tracy Baker's story really inspired me and can inspire somebody out there. So you might want to share this video, this link with other people to be an inspiration, to be a blessing to them. So please, let's go out there, daring to make a difference every day in our life. Thank you so much, Tracy. Thank you, our viewers. Do have a blessed evening. Till our next episode, have a restful evening.
Thank you very much. Everybody take care.